Next up are reports, which give you a more granular, behind-the-scenes look at the performance of your account. There are 8 standard reports of every Attentive account that we're going to run through here today. And you're able to schedule all of these as well. So you can simply set up schedule reports by selecting the one you want to receive, the frequency, whether you want it daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly, and then they will be delivered to you every Monday. And monthly reports will be delivered on the first of the month. So let's say I want it daily. Okay, well, this campaign performance is going to be delivered to me daily. So let's go back in here. Now let's go through the actual reports themselves. So first up, let's start with automated message performance. So this will give you a glance at the individual messages within your journeys. So you can see here, if I expand this out, you have win-back message 2 and win-back message 3. Those are a part of the win-back journey, but this is giving you the individual message performance. So win-back message 2 on May 1st was sent 50 times and had 3 clicks. And then you can go to the second tab, which is your subtotaled automated message, and this will give you the subtotal breakdown. So you can see here, win-back message 3 was sent almost a little bit over 1,000 times, clicked 83 times for a CTR of 8%, 1 conversion, so a 1.2% conversion rate for $47.77 in revenue, 4 unsubscribes, and a 0.39% opt-out rate. Now, if you would like, you can go ahead and create a pivot table around this. To get a glance at the entire thing in one view versus doing it via the subtotal. But you can play around with the data in any way you see best fit and aggregate it into whatever you want in terms of reporting for your brand. So that's the automated message performance. Next, let's look at creative performance over a range. So this essentially is just showing you how your sign-up units are performing. So the time range for this is May. So in May, we can see variation B, free shipping, received 539 phone subscribers, 93 phone unsubscribes, 1,100 email signups, 48 purchases, and total revenue of $1,900. You can see that the 15% off received significantly more revenue, slightly higher number of purchases, and so what this makes me think is that the AOV is significantly higher on this particular variation. So maybe we should look at shutting off variation B because variation A is not only generating more purchases, but a higher AOV as well. And then you can see here, the exact same for desktop. And that's your creative performance over a particular range. Next is billable spend. So this is not final, but gives you a preliminary estimate around how much you're going to have to spend to service your SMS program for a specified time range. So you can see here, campaign sent, automated sent, and received, how many SMS segments there were, how many MMS, what the total segment count is, what the SMS cost is, what the MMS cost is, the carrier fees, and your total message cost, broken down into a grand total for that particular month. Then you can see what the pricing was for that month, your SMS cost, your MMS cost, and your video cost. You can see that MMS is over 3 times as expensive as SMS. So again, this is really important why you want to test and see whether or not MMS really does outperform SMS for your brand. You can see the carrier fees by carrier. You can get your daily message cost as well, how much the automated sends are costing you versus how much the campaigns are. You can see where your inbound is coming from. So all automated messages, inbound help replies, inbound stop replies, tap join messages, transactional, and then a total as well. You can go into the actual details themselves if you want to see the costs. Now, I personally have never actually used this particular tab right here. It feels like it might be a little bit overkill, but if you want to dig into the data here, feel free. And then your campaign spend details as well, which is important to look at to see how much particular campaigns cost you. So you can see the characters, how many message segments there were, whether or not it has video, and then the total spend as well. So that's your billable spend. Your finance team will most likely want this reporting, and so it's great that Attentive is able to provide this level of granularity around where and how you're getting charged. Next is individual conversions. I have never used this report before, but I've used it really just to spot check attribution. I don't use it on an ongoing basis, but I have used it to spot check attribution because you can go in through here and see what Attentive is viewing as attributed revenue versus what it isn't. Attentive's out of the box attribution window is relatively generous, I would say. And so something I like to do and request from them is to bring that view and click window significantly down. So typically view I'll bring to either like 0 or 1 day, and then click will bring to 1 day as well, because I like to underreport rather than overreport. That's typically how I like to approach things. But you can see here where the message came from, what journey or what campaign, whether it was a view or click revenue. And so this is very helpful in understanding where the revenue attribution is actually coming from within the platform. Next are subscriber stats. So you have your date, opt-ins, opt-outs, and your total active subscribers over time. So you can run pivot table reports on this if you like to get a trend of subscribers, but typically the dashboard is sufficient to look at subscriber growth. But if maybe you see a peak, like, oh, May 5th, there's a lot of opt-outs, let's take a look at that. Next is total attributed revenue. This just gives you how many conversions and how much revenue per day. Then there's creative daily performance, which is all of your creative for sign-up units. Creative type, is it an integration? Is it a landing page? Is it on site? How many impressions, clicks, new subscribers, and then total revenue as well. And then you can get even more granular if you want. How many bubble clicks, how many non-bubble clicks. And so typically what we need to do here is create pivot tables off of this because it's just too much data to ingest. And so I can say I want to go ahead and have a pivot table here. Let's do it by creative name, email signups, and phone subscribers. And one thing that is a little bit frustrating with the reporting is that the total tab down here, when you want to do that pivot table, you got to delete that. Otherwise, if you come over here, it'll show up as a row. So you can see here, the only email and phone subscribers came through these, but that we got 915 new checkout transactional checkbox subscribers, 47 from an Acne Consumer Panel landing page. And this gives you an easier glance at it. So my favorite thing to do with all the Attentive reports typically is to create pivot tables off of them because it makes it a little bit easier to digest. Next is your campaign performance. So again, you can see here, message name, what the click rate was, how many were sent. And here, okay, we can see May 5th was delivered to 37,000 of our contacts. So that was sent to the entire list, which is why we saw a higher opt-out rate on that day, as well as an increased number of unsubs. But our opt-out rate was still 0.49%. Anything under 1% is solid. Anything under 0.5% is exceptional. So that was fine, and that was a solid campaign to be sent out. And those are the 8 standard reports that come within your Attentive account. Again, you can set these up to be scheduled, and that way you don't have to come in here and do it every single time, and you can get a quick glance and deep dive into your brand's SMS marketing performance. Next, we're going to cover custom reports and how those can be utilized as well.